I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilmember David Broussard.
Oh, yes, say the Lord in prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those trespassing against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle,
here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez,
Present.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis,
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard,
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter,
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry,
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here.
Thank you. Item number 2. Oh, I'm sorry, public comment. Do we have any comment cards?
None.
No comment cards. Great, thank y'all. Item number 2.
Acceptance of the minutes of the December 19th, 2017 meeting as published on January 11th, 2017.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Lewis, second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Is there any discussion? Have any discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Item 3, we have no persons to address the council. Madam Clerk, item 4.
An introduction of budget amendment number 2017-2018-06, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2017-2018, to appropriate funds for the 2018 public safety bond.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Guidry. We have some, in your package, you have some breakdowns. Any discussion?
Mayor, I have a couple questions.
Oh, sure.
Those 14 Ford Fusions,
Yes,
are they new?
those are new.
Okay.
We, the chief and I got prices on used cars, and they were very close to what going through state contract, we could do a new car. These cars are for narcotics, detectives, people that don't need police packages. They have smaller engines. The gas mileage will be better. But yes, they're new, and we get a warranty. And like I said, comparing to the used price cars we were getting through state contract, we think this is the way to go.
And how about the SUVs while we're on the
Those are new, and they are Chevy Equinox. They're small little SUVs. Again, they don't need police packages. They not running to chase people down, and they'll be efficient.
Okay, one more little question.
Oh, no, man, that's-
While we're talking about
That's
vehicles,
why we did a breakdown.
are we bidding those cars out, or are we buying them local, or are we getting them?
These prices are all state contract prices, which means we can buy them through state contract. On the flip side, we are getting prices from local dealers. If the prices don't work out, then we'll just hit the button and buy them through state contract. But we are trying to give, local dealerships the opportunity. We've gotten some prices in, some we're still waiting on. A few have declined or tried to say, well, just drop ship me some that you buy from state contract. So we're fleshing all that out now. But we were safe at using these prices because we knew we could get them off of state contract for these prices.
So all these vehicles are state contract prices?
State contract
Okay.
prices, yes.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And what that means is the state's already bid it out for you. So if they've already been through the bid process. They've already got the price as cheap as you're gonna possibly get it. So we were safe in using those numbers.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Can you give us a breakdown of the litter ban? How is that supposed
Yeah,
to be?
what I'm trying to do here, this money is at 2.5%. So we budgeted for a litter van in our last finance. We could save that money from going out of the general fund, and my idea was to buy the litter van now with the police money, and we'd accomplish a couple things. It would be a backup piece of equipment for the police department. Our transportation officer will not have people to bring to court every day. So now we solve another puzzle. We were gonna pull someone from the parks to operate the litter van when we could. Well, now if we make it a police vehicle, we pay for it with some relatively inexpensive money, it's 2.5%, and then our transport officer would be able to work with the judge and the city court with the people that have community service hours and drive the van. So we didn't want to use the transport van that is for prisoners, that's rigged up with shackles and rigged up for prisoners, but by buying an inexpensive used van, we could wrap it, the PD would have it under their insurance, and now we have a driver. So I think we make better headway at cleaning up the community. And then the 10 grand, I think we budgeted $5,000 out of our finances, and we were getting a donation for 3. Well, I'm gonna take the donation and wrap the van, and now we can advertise that, you know, we care and we're doing something about litter, and then that other money could go back to the general fund.
I have
Yes,
one
sir.
more
Oh,
question.
no, look, that's
The,
why we here.
The breakdowns for the guns and the ammunition.
Yes.
Is that, are we still looking at grants to get these?
Well, we don't have any yet, and you know, we're under the crunch that we go operational July 1. We have applied, James applied for 3 grants, and then I think a couple of the officers found 3 more. So we have 3 grants that are out, 3 more grants that are going out, if they're not out. But we don't have any word on any of these, and we go hot July 1. So these guns, you know, are in the budget to purchase.
Okay.
Any further questions? If not, I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Great, thank y'all. Madam Clerk, item 5.
Resolutions. Approval of certificate of substantial completion submitted by Moran Construction Contractor for completion of the project described as Church Alley Park and Bike Trail, and recording of the certificate with the Iberia Parish Clerk of Court.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Swear and a second by Councilman Broussard. We have a little presentation, and I'm gonna try to start doing these before we vote on things for final approval or substantial completion. I don't know why we didn't do that before, but why not use what we have and start taking pictures? So Jane took a few pictures that she can run through real quick, show you Church Alley before, and then Paul has some stuff to do, and then we vote on approval. But from now on, I'm gonna try when we can to use the technology we have. Jane?
Okay, well, the first is Church Alley and the signage. And Church Alley, of course, is the trailhead for a 3.2-mile bicycle trail going through both National Register historic districts. Okay.
These are some banners that you're going to find in the Church Alley hung on the walls. These are banners that kind of represent some of the kind of a cross-section of the art, culture, nature, and history that exists in this community. We thought it would kind of be important that the tourists and locals kind of familiarize themselves with what's happened and in terms of history, where the nature and the bayou connects, Buck Johnson's cultural experience, and certainly the arts. So it's kind of a neat cross-section to explore, and certainly these banners can be changed on in time.
And of course, this was a rendering done by Paul and his staff originally, and you can see where the banners will be located once they're put up there. And the lighting is in, and the pavers and the signs, and so now we're just adding equipment, benches, and the trash can receptacles. And if you see the utility box over on the left-hand side, it will look similar to that with a stained glass wrap.
There were a total of 15 bike racks that were installed in the city throughout the bike path, which is 3.2 miles. So it's got the new Iberia logo in the center of it, and I'm sure you've seen them around. There's 1 or 2 more that are yet to be installed when we get the George R. Greek Park and maybe the kayak launch area.
Here's the utility box, and it'll be wrapped with the stained glass vinyl, very attractive. The first of 4 others that we're gonna do shortly.
This is just kind of a preventative measure so that we don't have vehicles driving through the pedestrian area. And so it's symbolic, it's like we put it in front of the Bayou Chest Museum.
In the planters, and we have two planters in the alley, and they're both equipped with water. The planting is low maintenance, you know, so we don't have to hopefully worry about the cold
Yeah, we hope we don't freeze.
and the freeze.
Well, they're under warranty.
I know.
Yeah.
I checked on that already. And I think they covered them actually, so, you know, they're making that.
Yeah.
It's just a side view. There's a nice brick edging, and so it brings some green into the alley space, which is kind of nice.
That's a lot.
Cool.
The
Thank you,
project is ready for substantial completion. Y'all have a punch list probably in front of you. And although it took a little bit longer than what we anticipated due to the weather, I think Michael Domingue with the state of Louisiana was quite satisfied with the outcome and suggested that we not speed up the contractor, that we allow him the time to do the project correctly. So do you have any questions about, yes, Dan?
Yeah, I got a question, Mayor. The inspection report that you gave that was not done, for the items, that was not done with the numbers of the value of those items?
Yes.
So they won't get paid until these items are completed, or this money
Well,
will be restored?
well, that's part of
Held back.
that's part of the retainage. There's a retainage value that's being withheld from the
Right.
contractor, and that is correct. If he never does those items, then we're going to reduce it off the final payment.
Okay,
But
so
we,
the
that's kind
final
of.
payment, I mean, the retainage has enough money in it to
Oh,
cover these?
definitely.
Oh,
Okay.
yes,
more
definitely.
than enough.
Okay.
And that's kind of what the Iberia Parish School Board does, is that we assign values to
Yeah.
punch list items.
And one more item. It looks like in the drawings versus this picture we seen earlier, it's like the walls are not painted. Are they gonna be painted, or?
Freddie, you want to address that?
No?
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. We,
I shouldn't ask that, or what?
no, there's nothing wrong with that. We,
I was gonna ask it if not.
we didn't have it in the original project, okay? So we got Public Works to pressure wash them, and then now, one wall, we really like the way it looks, and we like the old brick, so we've been debating, going back and forth. We do feel we have enough money in the project to paint the wall, and so we stalled for a little while trying to decide, do we want to paint it? Is it too rustic? Does it look good? I think the consensus now is we are going to end up painting the wall. We waited to see when the job shaked out because we didn't have that in there. Now that we are about finished, we think we have enough money, and we're going back to the state to make sure it's okay to do it and go ahead and paint those walls.
Because it looks like originally you had one wall painted on a design, not the other wall. No?
There was kind of a dark green or
Yeah.
blue
Right.
color on the
Yeah.
left side
Yeah.
when you're looking from Main Street.
Yeah.
And we were gonna, and actually, the intent is to try to restore that wall, so, because there are a lot of issues with the face of the wall that just need
Yeah,
to
we
be
think we need to
preserved.
see it.
That
Because-
is actually the worst wall. The other wall,
Mhm.
actually, once it's clean, it looks very nice.
Because I think one time having a meeting at your office, a concern of the landowner, or the owners of the property was the
Right.
drainage or the, because of the walls seeping.
Right.
dripping
Well, then we do
water and
feel
all this stuff.
that we do need to seal it.
Yeah,
So yes, we're going.
Yes.
okay,
The bricks look cool, but
Yeah.
we're going to seal it.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes?
If we paint the wall, how long before we're gonna have to paint it again?
We're gonna seal it one time, and I think we're done. I mean,
So-
I don't think that, we don't own it. It was, they gave us permission to do it. I think we owe them a paint job, but I don't think that as building maintenance and building owners, I think down the road, that'll fall back on them. I mean, it is their building, but we.
Okay, just asking.
No, that's fine. I don't
And
think because
them
we
is-
painted once,
them
we're
is-
required to constantly paint it.
And them is who?
I don't even,
Sorry.
one side's been purchased,
The Iberia owns one side.
A-Bear on one side and maybe Worms is on the other?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who's on the side that's getting painted?
Amen. Oh, we might paint both.
Well, the
you
better
said.
looking wall, Natalie, is the side that Mr. Abear has, actually. Once, I'm not picking on Mr.
No,
Abear.
no, but I mean,
I think, the more stable and better looking wall, now that it's clean, looks like it's probably the wall that's been painted most recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other wall looks like it needs some attention, but has not.
Mr. David's wall.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. I'm just asking,
That
'cause,
would
you know,
look-
preventative
Good
maintenance is
questions.
a thing
Very
for
good
me.
questions.
Yep.
It's one thing to paint it, but y'all, you know, it's like, okay, then what happens when it
No, it's a
chips?
good
When it
question.
chips?
But like I said, we don't own it. I think that we do owe them because it was part of the project.
Yeah, no,
We
I
put
understand.
They
I
allowed us
just-
to put conduits on the wall. They allowed us to work together with them. So I think we need to do it once, but I only think we need to do it once.
And how long you think it'll hold up the paint on the brick?
I'll probably say minimum 5 years.
Minimum?
5 years.
Okay.
And it's probably do a paint job for longer than that, so.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
This is always a
Yes,
dark,
sir.
a dark alley, dark spot in the middle of town.
Well, I have to let you know, Freddie's got some controls, and there's
Oh,
5
yeah.
different colors of lights that
Yeah.
you can take and control. So
Everything y'all
I'm
done.
being told that it's going to set the mood, so whatever Freddie feels like is going to be the color. So.
Lord. That's scary.
So we want to thank y'all for
Oh, you're welcome.
helping the middle
My
of the
pleasure.
town. Middle city. I remember getting a haircut down the middle of that alley. I remember they used to just, the light was running, rolling, and it kind of died out. So appreciate y'all redoing it,
You're welcome.
make it safe.
Thank you.
I have one more question,
Sure.
and I could be off, but it's like my visual. Can you drive in? Will you still be able to drive into the alley from the St. Peter side?
You still can't up to those volumes. In other words, you can still drive in from the
Okay,
other
because
side.
I was
It's
saying
open
like
for
Heather
vehicle
Duhon has her
traffic.
law office,
Right.
and she has like 3 parking spots that she shares with
That's why we put those volumes so that
Janine and
you
them.
couldn't continue
So they
to
still
drive.
gonna be able to drive.
Yes, we
from
didn't
this.
block any
No,
access.
no different than what it was before, because
Okay.
because there were some manholes there that prevented you from driving in.
Gotcha.
All that's been recessed. Matter of
But
fact,
is it pavement right there still now, or it's gonna be pavers on the
it's
actual
actually
driveway?
It's actually limestone.
Is it limestone?
Yeah, and then after
Back to
limestone, when you get closer to St. Peter, there is some that's paved, but we didn't do that. That would be maybe a later
Phase
phase,
two or
you know.
Phase 2,
Right.
correct.
We didn't touch it in this phase.
Okay, so the pavers are gonna go like from Main to where like
where
they
the-
have their little parking lot
To where those
starts.
bollards are, right to the back of those buildings where you saw those bollards that we put up. That's
Okay.
as far as our project went. That was the scope of our project.
Okay, cool. Just asking.
And so one thing,
Yes, sir.
I think it's a cool little alley, nice history. I learned about who was it, the priest or the doctor that wanted to see the church from
Yeah,
there?
the Frederick Superior that incorporated our town, that used to live in Mount Palm.
Okay.
Right.
He wanted to see that. So a lot of people don't know the history. And one thing about the district that I serve, you know, we always want to know why we're doing this and not doing that. So I appreciate the information about it. I think it's going to be a highlight of Main Street, but I still want to remind y'all, don't forget about the West End and bringing some type of, lights to the West End.
Right. I totally agree with you. This was, how would I put, it was easy to do because it was in the historic district and
it's
there
nice.
was some money, but I will continue, you have my pledge as well as all of us. We are gonna continue to look for grants and apply for anything we can find everywhere in New Iberia.
And like I said, it's not, because I never noticed the church
Right.
through there. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And historic.
Good.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Didn't we talk about expanding the historic district to maybe sections of Hopkins Street, if at all
It-
possible, looking at that?
We already do go down Hopkins Street for a couple of blocks.
Well, our original
Yeah.
historic district did cover up to Dark Alley and a portion of Hopkins Street, and then it follows Washington around. Our National Register district does not, it doesn't go that far, and it's not
Well,
our
they told us-
choice.
They
We
told us how far we could go.
Yeah, we submitted boundaries to include the original
Yeah, we wanted to do
district,
the
and
whole
they,
historic district because those tax credits would be available, but they cut us way down.
yeah, they cut the boundaries down. It was their choice.
I do think that the buildings and the architecture in the West End area, rises to the same level of what we have downtown. And I think at some point, we're always going to have an opportunity to amend the district and request additional expansion of it through the Department of Interior. And that is the intent, is to keep pushing and pushing to allow to capture most of that in a district one day. So the effort's not over with. We still have a lot more to do, but it's an important first step.
And in addition to that, if I might just add one thing, we do have a cultural district that includes all of the West End along Hopkins Street and beyond. And one of the advantages to being a cultural district is that you do qualify, a property owner wanting to restore a building would be able to submit an application for the historic state tax credits of the 25%. So that's an advantage, and we actually do have 2 cultural districts, one downtown and one that covers most of the West End.
Any further discussion? I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you. All right. Madam Clerk, 5B.
Approval of proposed cooperative endeavor agreement by and between Iberia Parish Government and City of New Iberia for animal control services.
Do I have a resolution? I mean,
Uh
do I have a
huh.
motion?
You do. Yes, you
Not a
do.
resolution, not
You
a
do.
motion. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
That's Reed. I'm sorry.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lewis and Councilwoman Ledbetter. I'm excited about this, and we've been waiting on this a long time. This, of course, just to give you a brief history, we started talking about this in June, and in July, the parish council, I went and attended the meeting. The parish council passed a resolution to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with us for a dog catcher. We've had many discussions since then. The deal has morphed into all kind of different ways, and then for a while I thought it was dead. And I was actually considering that we would go back to part-time doing it ourselves, but Jeff has drawn something up. It's with the parish. The parish president and I had a meeting, and Jeff attended that meeting. We verbally agreed that we have a deal, and it's back to where it was in June, which is great. So what we want to do is not hesitate, get us to approve this so that as soon as they come back with it, I can sign it and we can have a dog catcher again. So we're trying to move this as quickly as we can, and this is just another step to say, why not do it now and wait to where we were held up again? So questions? Councilwoman Gidget?
My only question is, so when does this go in effect? As soon as we vote on this tonight, or this is gonna go in effect with the New Iberia City Police Department?
No, this has nothing to do with the police department. We vote on this tonight, and then we're in the wait mode as soon as Larry gives me the document.
Okay,
But
so
past
if
president, but
I
this
call
is a
and say,
step.
you know, you gotta go catch a dog, and,
We have no dog catcher right now.
okay, so we just have the,
All
the-
we have
the
is this
agreement.
agreement, and this is the next step that I don't want to hold anything up.
Okay.
Now I'll send something to parish government and say, boy, we approved it last night, we're ready on our end, where's the document? So we're trying to push to get this as quick as we can, because this has been a real issue. We have quite a few calls, and,
Yes.
we need to do something.
So
But it's
it-
not
it-
gonna wait on the PD, no.
right, so
the
it's
PD
gonna
has
go in
nothing to do
effect
with
when, sir?
As soon as the parish president gives me his end of the document to sign.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Councilman Swear?
Okay. Sure, you, his explanation?
No, go.
I have a couple of questions and
That's
a
good.
couple of comments. If you don't mind, I'd like to read the resolution that was presented at that meeting it was actually July 12th of 2017.
Sure.
When I attended, I believe you were there as well. Resolution 2017-134, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the City of New Iberia to provide animal control services within the city limits with the City of New Iberia to provide a portion of the funding in the amount of $30,000. And Iberia Parish Sheriff to provide a vehicle for said services. Now, you did say that we have in possession the truck.
We do.
We do.
Engine lights off, truck is running. Mr. Leroy was kind enough with his mechanic at Public Works to check it out and fix an issue, and so we have the truck.
Okay. The question I have is, we have a great relationship with the parish council, and you have a great relationship with the parish president, Mr. Reshore. And I believe we're all working great together. But the question I have is, where did the bus stop? I mean, it's something so simple that really, it was something simple, but at the same time, it's a big problem. Animal control is a very big problem. It's very dynamic. It's not just picking up animals. It's, a lot of other complex situations in it. So something so simple, where did the train stop? And why it took 7 months to get to where we are now?
Okay?
Can someone answer that for me? Can
I'll
you
answer it.
that for me? Or?
I don't mind.
And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody.
Oh, no.
I just want to know.
We're gonna work it out.
So,
Some of these deals, if you will, some of these issues start and then they grow. You have to decide how far do we go. What happens is between our staff and us, the parish council, the parish president, all of his staff, very simply, for a little while, the scope kept changing and growing, and we couldn't afford it. In other words, it went from a discussion of we're gonna do this, there was a discussion, there's $21,000 that we pay now. I've only been here a year, so it had already been paid. So now I'm like, what am I doing with this $21,000? Does that pay for a dog catcher? You know, what am I paying for? Well, it took a little research. That took a few weeks. The $21,000 is for the shelter, the parish shelter, to hold 7 kennels for us. So then I got kind of jacked up and said, well, wait a minute. I'm paying $21,000, but I don't have a dog catcher, so I didn't put any dogs in those kennels. I'm getting ripped off. So we had a meeting. I said, you know, what's the deal? I need to know what's happening. Well, people from the city can surrender their dogs to the shelter, and for a while the shelter was picking up dogs. So they quickly proved to me that we had used those kennels. Said, okay, well now I'll pay the $21,000. All right. So that has stayed in, and that's been a deal with the city and the parish for many years. But for a little while, we had a discussion on that. Then we had a bigger discussion of doing even more. And it began to morph that parish government was like, let's build a new facility. And there were some discussions of that, and it started growing and growing. At that point, it went way past our pocketbook. So then I'll tell you that after another month or so, and I mean, I've got to watch our dollars, another month or so of negotiating on all of that, I said, okay, I'm pulling the plug. I can't afford it. You know, if you can't afford the Cadillac, you can't afford the Cadillac. That's why we buy and Ford, whatever. So my attitude was maybe we need to pull back and start looking at doing it ourselves. Then I started looking to hire someone, looking for someone to be a part-time dog catcher. Didn't have a lot of luck. Finally found a guy, talked to a couple of people. They said, well, maybe go back to the parish one more time. Had a discussion with Dan. Said, what do you think? You know, I'm a little, it's taking too long. We need to do something. I went back to parish government again and said, okay, I don't want the big deal. We can't afford it. What we could afford is what we originally talked about. We'll continue to pay the 21. That gives us a kennel and a place to put the dogs, and we can pay 30 and give you the truck. That's all we can do. Came back, okay, that's what we're going to do. Waited another month or so. Still didn't get any paperwork. Scheduled another meeting because in the meantime we have calls. We got a job to do, and we got dogs running around. Got Jeff. Jeff and I went to a meeting. Jeff took notes, kind of put the deal together as he always does, and now we're here where we are now. That was about 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And it's been sent on to the parish.
And it's sent on to the parish. He worked it up the next day. So it's been with the parish's attorney for 2 or 3 weeks, and now we're here saying let's get this done. One, it brought it back that we're talking about it, that y'all know what's going on. The public sees what's going on. Number two, we are hoping that they are finishing on their end, and because of this action tonight, I can finally sign it. But that's kind of a history of, you know, where it went. Okay, wait, I think Dustin still has the floor.
So once we pass this resolution,
Yes, sir.
hopefully everybody agrees that we do need animal control.
Mhm.
Once we pass this resolution and get this going forward and move over to the parish, how long will it take after that's done on their end to get animal control back into the city?
As soon as they bring us an agreement and my attorney looks at it, you know, so if they bring me an agreement next week and Jeff looks at it and says I can sign, I'm gonna sign and drive it right back. I consider the deal done. Then they would start coming into the city. Got to bring them a truck, but that's easy to do. So my hope is that, you know, I get some paperwork from them very soon. We've already have taken this action, and I think it's something that could happen in the next couple of weeks, and we need it.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Everybody.
Natalie.
Okay. Councilwoman Lopez.
Dan is trying to jump the ship.
It's confusing.
I know. I have a couple questions just for clarification.
Sure.
Okay, so IPSO is not going to have anything to do with this situation.
Has not had anything to do with it for over a year, and will have nothing to do with it, and neither will the NIPD.
Okay, so I see an animal and I want to call it in. Who do I call? Do
You're
I
going to call the parish.
I'm going to call the parish.
As
Who?
a joint venture, we're going to have people who have one phone number to call.
There's going to be a phone number that's 24-hour connected to like the comm center.
We will go straight like they do now when you're in the parish and you call the dog catcher.
Okay, and they're going to
get all of
be.
that for us in the agreement. You know, once I have an agreement, you know, we'll publicize who to call.
And the parish is going to be in charge of the hiring and firing.
All we
employment.
do is pay. We just write a check and pay them.
But I just want, for
collect
clarification
our dollars.
purposes, if somebody's like, I'm not happy with the way the animal catcher handled
Right.
this, I want to be like, well, they're employed by the parish.
Right.
We supplement them, you know, payment
Correct.
for this whole operation to be taking
That's correct.
place.
That's correct.
Okay, and then the shelter's still going to
And
remain
we're doing it for 1 year.
To see how it
to
goes.
see how it goes. And if we need an out button, we got an out button.
Okay. And then just for clarification, the shelter is gonna stay the same shelter that's
Yes.
out on Troy Road, and it's a non-kill shelter. It's a no-kill.
No, that's
It's
that's
at the
Angel
airport,
Paws.
right?
Oh, see, okay. See,
Angel
that's,
Paws is a private owned shelter. It's not the
Yeah.
parachute shelter. The parachute shelter is at the airport.
oh, okay. I've never seen that. I've never
Yeah.
been to that
Right,
shelter.
that's the shelter.
Yeah,
I guess I need to go check that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I've never been
just
there.
a little.
So that, but that one is a kill shelter.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
And how many kennels they have there?
We have 7 that we're paying for.
And how many are there?
I don't know. I didn't.
Oh, they gotta
I mean,
have
it's-
24.
I would have
so.
said 30. You know,
Yeah.
But
So we're
25 to 30,
roughly
let's
we're
say.
roughly renting a third of the shelter and getting the
yes,
labor.
yes.
And they're providing the vehicle because you
We're
said
giving
something about the
them-
vehicles
we're giving them
running.
the truck that we got from the sheriff. We are letting them have the truck in the cage.
Okay, so we donated. We will donate
We
the
will
truck
donate that
to them.
Yes.
Okay. And what's the value of the truck?
Priceless. No.
Stop it.
I really don't know. I mean, the cage on the
How
back
old
of
is the truck?
The truck is probably a 10-year-old truck. What really has value is the cage, the aluminum cage on the back.
Okay.
We didn't buy it, right?
No, we didn't buy it.
Right. No,
The
I'm just
sheriff just turned it
asking
over.
so
Yes.
so I know the whole,
No.
because if something if in a year it falls out, there's gonna be a million questions.
Yeah, they will.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, now who had
I got
hand
a
up next?
question.
Okay.
So
Dan, you have to go.
You agree that we have to pay the 21,000 in addition to the 30,000?
Yes, which has always been the deal.
Okay, so that, and we only got 6 spots.
7.
7, I'm sorry. So what happens if we need 9 spots? Does the parish, can
They
use
kill
their
it all.
spots?
No.
Oh, really?
You all said it was a kill shelter. So I'm joking.
Huh?
Wait.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well,
if we need more spots than we
I
have.
think that we'll be fine in the deal because over the 20 years that we've had that, they've never turned anything down before. That's something we can clarify, but
So this 21,000 just come out of general fund?
yes, and it has for many, many years. This agreement has been in place. Some people would say it was for rabies control, but it was always for the show. Because I didn't know, like I said, I wasn't paying the bill until I realized what it was. But
Right,
it's been
right.
in a long-standing
So,
agreement. for
so it's really costing us 51,000
Yes,
for the
yes.
dog control?
And if you figure hiring, because I looked at the numbers,
Yeah,
if you
I mean,
figure
yeah.
hiring someone, paying the benefits, having the truck, doing everything else, this is.
Now, do they, it's included to pick up the dead animals, or, because I know Public Works have been picking up dead animals whenever we have one.
No, that is not in the agreement. Dog catchers do not pick up the
So we still gonna pick up the
Public
dead
Works will
animals?
still pick up the dead animals.
It's not here.
Yeah. And they let us know from the very beginning that was not gonna be their function. They
Okay.
pick up cats and dogs and live animals,
Not dead.
not
Thank-
dead ones.
thank you.
Sorry. If we could have put that in there, we would have. We tried, but we didn't get too far with that.
Okay,
That
thank
issue's dead.
thank you.
Okay, who is next? Yes, ma'am.
Since it's a kill shelter,
Yes, ma'am.
which, I'm not real fond of.
Me
I love
either.
animals.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, could we advertise where it is and, how much it would cost to adopt one
We
of
could
the
we could push that
animals
when
and-
we
Yeah,
start.
like, what's up with that?
When we start promoting it and giving the phone number and everything, yeah, we could, and we could. You'll have to remind me, but every once in a
Maybe
while,
highlight an
yeah,
animal
we could do that. I mean, I don't mind helping.
No, they,
because
yeah.
Instead of kill them,
I know. It's, and they do, I know that they really try to adopt them out. I've talked to them about it. They do work on that. They partner with the other shelter, I think, sometime, and they do try to place
I
the
didn't
dogs.
know about that one either.
Me, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Councilman Guidry?
They answered you answered my question.
Okay. Any further? Yes, sir, Mr. Broussard.
And the parish should work with us. It's a good intergovernment agreement. They'll be paying some money. They get elected just as good as we do with the people in the city, as good as the parish. So they should come over and help us with these animals. It's only a benefit for the city and the parish altogether. And I hope the parish comes over and helps us on this endeavor.
Good. Further discussion? I'll ask you to please vote your machine. Thank y'all. That was a good discussion. Madam Clerk, item 6.
recommendations from planning and zoning. A recommendation of approval for Brenda Leger to place a modular residential home on her property located at 125 De La Salle Drive.
Do I have a motion?
In my district, so now say to us, modular home, or not what we're doing, a good modular, not mobile,
Okay.
modular.
Is that a motion?
There is an asset, and there is a motion to, okay.
Okay, second by Mayor Pro Tem Dahl. All right, anything else, Mr. Broussard? Okay.
In that commercial area.
Okay, sure.
They tore something down, they gonna put something new in.
Okay.
Basically.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, years ago, one time in the city, you couldn't bring in any home but a mobile home that had wheels. We changed the ordinance when we started eliminating mobile homes coming into the city. We approved this, and they had a manufacturing company in St. Martinville, they used to make them, went to look at them. You remember that?
Yeah.
And and modular homes are built as same specs as a real home, but it comes in pieces, in modular pieces. And I think that was the idea that people use this to bring in on those mobile home lots, because they slim, you can get them almost any size you want. And I think they meet all the criteria of a regular built house, is that right?
Yes.
And when it goes into a lot, where it's gonna be placed, it meets the same criteria that a regular home would be on that lot. Is that correct?
It is, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
And
you.
I'd love to see more. This could well be our answer for all of those empty lots that we all have in everybody's
But
district.
it seems like this company that, they sent us a book on all this, is from not from around here.
No,
It's from
no.
afar.
We don't have any of them
Yeah.
right now that's close,
Yeah.
that I know of.
And I think that was so exciting when the place in St. Martinville had it, because
that
a
was
lot of
nice.
time, the cost of bringing it here is so much, the farther you have to bring it from. But
Yeah.
this place is shut down. Where is this place from?
Well,
You know?
the applicant actually is going through Gulf Coast Mobile Homes,
Really?
but they, the information that you have in your packet is from the manufacturer.
Yeah.
So
From
they,
Alabama.
and everything has to comply with the city's definition of modular, and that's gonna take place. They have to send a certificate, of compliance, and Jimmy will verify that it complies
Yeah.
before permits are issued.
So this type home was purchased through a mobile home dealer?
Yes.
Wow. That's
But it's
pretty
modular.
good. Yeah, it's modular. That's
But
good.
it's a modular,
Yeah.
and they know they realize the difference.
Right, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good, that's exciting, I'm glad.
No, it is, because that could be the
Yeah.
answer for all of
Yeah.
all those empty lots, all that adjudicated property that people buy, all those lots. I mean, who wants to represent an empty lot? We need to grow our town, so this could be a way that we could continue to progress.
And it helps the local dealers
Right.
too.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Anybody? Great, I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, 5B.
Final subdivision approval to re-subdivide property located at 1700 East Main Street into tracts 1 through 4 belonging to Clinton Properties LLC.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter, do I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Guidry. Whose district is this in? That's what I thought. Want to start the discussion?
Well, we've talked about it before, and I think everybody's in agreement with it, his neighbor.
Yeah, my neighbor,
Your
the only
neighbor
thing they doing though,
is
they
splitting the
say,
line.
One at a time, yeah.
they're just dividing the property, right? They're not changing use of anything, correct? Yeah. Good, great. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Please vote your machines. And Madam Clerk, Councilwoman Lopez reminded me that we're gonna need to put maybe whose district. We talked about that a couple times, but we never done. Maybe we need to
just
start
makes
trying to
it
put whose district.
So
we have
easy, if you have a question, you know who to call and say, are you in support of this? This is in your district.
Yeah, it must not hurt you.
The last 5 times,
You
right?
said a few times, and I know it. That's why I brought it up. You didn't, I looked
Loud
at you
as
and
I
said,
am.
Okay. I saw it coming. Preemptive strike. All right, now we go to property standards. Madam Clerk?
Revisit demolition of property located at 1019, 1021, 1031, 1033, 1035, 1041, 1043, 1045, 1047, 1049, 1053, 1055, 1057, 1059, and 1061 Short Street in New Iberia.
Great. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Lewis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Guidry. Jimmy?
We have a representative from the family. I'll let him
Great.
tell y'all what he's doing.
Hello, Mr. Frank.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
My name's Frank Nixon Jr. I am the representative of the person responsible to try to move these houses. Prior to the last time I was here, 90 days ago, just before that, 4 days, we were getting ready to move these houses, and 4 days before that mover was going to come and move the houses, that's when Jimmy told me I needed to come get the permit. And that's when we went through this fiasco of not being able to get a permit. Well, no, excuse me. That's when we went through the amount of regulation the city of New Iberia has as far as for getting a permit. We tried, the house mover, Hayes house mover, tried for over 2 weeks to get the utility companies to respond to him and to the city to get their approval for us to move these homes. At over 2 weeks, we called back the city, and the city says, we'll get the utility companies to respond to us. And after a couple of weeks, the utility companies would not respond to the city. And we were delayed, and still Cleco, Loco, Cox, AT&T, none of them have still, as of I last heard, had responded to give approval. So to get a legal permit from the city of New Iberia, we still can't get a legal permit according to y'all ordinance. With that said, Liz told the trucking company to come get a permit, and that y'all would issue a permit. That was, I believe, November. Well, I'm not the type of person to procrastinate. I don't procrastinate for anything. As soon as we agreed to take these houses and move them, that was in July, I went out and immediately prepared ground, hired a contractor to prepare the ground. It took him till about the middle of September to get the ground prepared because of all the rain we had been having. You know, last year we had 75 inches of rain. Normally we have 60 inches of rain. So we have had an abundance of rain. I have tried to get these houses moved. There are 15 on your list. We have people that I want 3 of them, and there are 4 other people that want houses. We haven't been able to move them as of yet because the ground is wet. I spent over $5,000 on dirt preparing the ground to move some of these houses. The contractor, the trucking company, when he got delayed, he went and did something else. When you you have to get in line with these people. It's not like just, hey, I need a truck, and they come bring a truck. So I'm not here giving excuses. I'm just telling you why they haven't been moved. Believe me, I wish they'd have been moved. I wouldn't be here wasting my time. I wouldn't be here wasting y'all time with y'all listening to me. Jimmy says something about the ones that we're not going to move to tear them down. Well, I don't want to do that because when you go to lift a house, if you jack it up and they have some rotten seals on that particular house, I want to be able to move to another house that the seals aren't rotten. That's one reason I haven't torn some down. The second reason is there were people after our last meeting, Reverend Dan Holmes and another lady. They said they had an interest in one. I spoke to Reverend Holmes about 3 weeks ago to a month ago, and he said he was still interested, but he just hadn't had time to look into it. I would like to be able to see somebody take some of these houses instead of just destroy them. And the third reason is that when we move these houses, I just want the contractor that we have, the demolition contractor, S&J or something like that, who's lined up to demolish the houses after we have moved the houses that we're going to move. And we want to be able to let him just come in there, tear up the houses, pick up the concrete, and leave the area clean instead of leaving dribbling pieces there, because it's going to be an eyesore. It would be, and there's nothing that I don't think there's anything that the city could do to say, okay, you got to come clean up these concrete slabs. And we would like to just leave the piece of property clean because there's no plans for it in the future. So that's the reason we haven't moved the houses. I would like to have moved the houses. I spoke to the trucking company middle of last week, and we're waiting on weather. That's all we're doing. We're just waiting on weather. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions? Yes.
Jimmy, what do you say?
Well, we did get all the notifications from the utility companies, and he could have got his permits. I don't know what happened. You know, it could have been the weather, it could have been anything. But I know Liz called the utility companies and did get the approvals. There was one that, I think it was Cops, had to go and move the line for them to be able to get under it.
Well, we didn't know that.
Well, Liz called the mover.
Liz called the mover?
I'm 99% sure.
I'll check on that tomorrow.
So anything else? Pat? Anything else?
So, Jimmy, what's your recommendation for how much more time you want to give Mr. Frank?
That's up to y'all.
So you don't have a recommendation?
That's
I'm
up
just,
to y'all.
it's fine, Mr. Frank. I just want,
Could I?
let Jimmy do his thing.
All I'm waiting on is the weather.
Okay, no,
I'm
I don't
just
think we're
waiting-
gonna have a problem. I just wanted to know if Jimmy had a recommendation.
I'm just waiting on it to get dry enough where I need to move them.
Okay. No. Okay,
That's it?
I'm good.
Okay.
You good?
I'm good.
Wait.
Okay. You good?
I'm good.
Okay. That's District 2, but I'm not quite good.
Yeah.
So, I'm listening to it. Let me ask you this, because I'm listening. I heard a lot, really too much for me to really decipher. So, tell us in layman terms, what do you want the city to do for you?
Give me enough time till it's dry enough for me to move them. Now that we know that we've got this ability to get these permits, okay? I didn't know that before. That's news to me. That just give me enough time to move the houses. I've got somebody ready to tear them up after. That's all I'm waiting on. Let me say this. I really wish I wouldn't move any of them. Okay? I'm only doing this because my wife wants it.
She wants them. You wish you could tear them all down.
I wish because I'm moving them onto a piece of property. I had to go to St. Martin Parish and get approval to move them onto a piece of property because I'm what we're wanting to do with them. Okay? This isn't my desire. You're a married man?
No, I've been married.
Okay? You know. Okay?
No, I understand. No, I was married for 7 years. I understand.
Okay. That's the only thing I'm waiting on.
We can't solve relationships here.
I understand.
Happy wife, happy life. I
That's,
understand that.
you're right, and I've got a fantastic
Yeah,
wife.
and that's cool. I'm listening to. I'm trying to reach a compromise with you because I mean you're showing up, you're showing interest, you letting me know that you really want this resolved. Because like you say, you're not wasting our time because this is what we do.
Well,
we don't want to keep having you coming up wasting your time.
Yeah, because it's freezing between here and my house.
I understand. So man, and Jimmy gonna give the recommendation, but I heard you say some of them you want to tear down.
Right.
I also heard you say that, but you want to be able to pick and choose which ones you want to tear down as opposed to which ones you want to keep. Now, I'm not a builder, but if I know a professional, I can walk around the house and tell if that's a foundation good, and I'm not even a builder.
Well, I'll say this.
So to me-
when you jack up a house, if you have a crushed beam, you have to replace it. Okay? And this happens, from what the house movie tells me, it happens a lot. Okay? He has to replace a beam. And if I can alleviate replacing a beam $200, $300, $400, why not?
Again, it's still like we gotta wait to figure out what's going on under the houses.
Yes, sir.
And that's not fair to us in the community that I represent.
Yes, sir, I understand.
That's not fair to us. They want them down now. They want to move now. They want them down now. My suggestion would be, if I had the gavel, I would be tear down the ones that you said you're going to tear down and leave the ones that you're going to move. Because we can't keep going back and forth. Respect, I owe you, with you on every little, well, we going to do this. And we have to get some, we need to get some movement on those houses. You know, as a community and as a city, it's starting to make us look like we ain't about our business. And people are getting their houses tore down, and yours are still standing. And as far as people concerned, no disrespect, nothing but respect. They feel like the Mixons have the resources to take care of their business, but you're making poor people tear down their houses. And that's not fair to us. And that's why I respect, I represent an underserved poor community. And that's what they telling me. Y'all pushing the button on us, but y'all letting Mixons keep theirs up. You know, and then I gotta go tell them this. Them people don't want to hear that, sir. That, oh yeah, he said, well, the beam. Them people don't want to hear nothing about no beams under no house. They want to know that you know what you're doing. You're a builder. So I would suggest that we demolish the ones that you're not taking and give you time on the ones that you're taking. Now, I don't know how much time we need to give you so you can figure out which ones are good and which one ain't. But we don't have time to keep looking at these houses as a community. Like I said earlier, we do this. I hope we can do it for 4 years and 4 more. We do this every other Tuesday. This is what we do. So you're not wasting our time. But we don't want to continue having a community look at these houses and me going back and giving them another excuse and they look like I'm working for you. And that's not fair to me. You know, that's not fair to me. You know, I think you're a very nice man. But at the same time, I represent a lot of nice people that want these houses moved. They want to move ASAP.
I've gone back there and met with those people. They're very nice
No,
people.
but these people, the ones you met with, they ain't the same people I'm talking to. I'm serious.
Well, I met with
people I'm talking to.
I met with the people that live right across the street from these houses.
Yeah, but they got all kind of people that pass through there, like a lot, to go and see their grandmother, go
No,
and see their family.
this lady,
the
she
school.
lived.
You see what I'm saying? Now we back and forth again.
Yeah, she told me she lived
Reality
there.
is those houses need to be moved.
I understand.
I mean, we can keep giving you 90 days, 60 days, 30 days. It's gonna be a year again. So I mean, come on, Mr. Mixon, help us out, man. Help us help you so we can help our community and help our town become better, man.
Well,
Wasn't there a recent shooting also too? Oh, I'm sorry.
What's the
And
shooting?
I was thinking about that, and I hear you, but and it's not even about the shootings because they got abandoned houses all over. I cannot blame your family for that.
Well,
in those homes.
Now
I'm
that you're
just
saying that,
yeah.
let me tell you what we can blame it on. The lack of police presence.
Right.
Okay? That's the reason these houses aren't lived in. Every one of these houses were lived in prior to the drug addiction we have now.
Correct, but then now you
Okay.
got to take that to the parish council and tell them to talk to the sheriff about that. Because
That-
he didn't sheriff, he
The
didn't
sheriff,
police.
the sheriff, it's the city council that
Let's
tells
stay
them what
on,
to do.
Let's stay on task. You know, we're putting the police department together, and that's changing very
Well, you know,
quickly. Let's
that's
stick to
the
our
whole crust of the
Well,
problem,
let's stick to our
is that we have to tear these houses out because the city and the city council didn't do their job. Okay? That's the reason that for these houses being torn down, and that's the reason for most of the problems in this community.
Now, Mr. Frank.
This mayor and this council are doing their job, so we're gonna stay on
Okay,
task.
so
Let's stay on task.
we have to pay for it. As you're saying, we have to pay for what the city council did wrong. So why don't the city council now step up to the buck and give me enough time to move these houses?
So again,
Marlo, you have the floor.
the other thing was, it was after that flood. It was after that flood when water was in those houses, when y'all basically condemned the houses. Y'all didn't put signs up.
There's still a lady living in one of those houses. There's 4 people living in another house, two other people that are living in Mr. Polk's houses, and 2 other people that belong to somebody else, and a lady living on the other end. So the houses, the reason for the condemnation is not the flood. The reason for the condemnation is a drug problem. And the drug problem is because of lack of police presence. And the lack of police presence is because the mayor and the city council got rid of the police department. That's the reason for the problem.
In 2004,
So what?
well, we're in 2017.
The houses were built in 1940-something and they were still lived in. For all those years, those houses were lived in when they had a dirt road back there, and it's a problem with the city council. Pass the buck.
Not this council.
Well,
Well, it's not my problem either, because it was my family's problem. Okay, if you want to keep going, we can keep going at
no,
that.
and we're not gonna keep going. Let's stick to our issue. Other
Man, I
people
tell you
had some
what, man,
discussion items, but if you wanna make a, we can continue to discuss. You have the floor. You can continue to discuss. You can make a motion.
I want to hear some discussion, and
Okay.
I got something in mind on
Okay.
on the motion.
You wanna continue, or I'm gonna come
Does
back
anybody
to
have
you?
anything else to?
Yeah, I know some people, yeah, everybody had their hands up. You wanna go around?
Yeah, you can go
All right,
around.
first thing I'm gonna do, because I saw our attorney had his hand up, I always call my attorney first.
Not a legal issue, but what can be done in 30 days?
The weather.
Okay?
What can I do with the weather? I've got to wait for it to dry.
How long is it gonna take to drive if it quits raining? What are we talking about here?
If it's dry and sunny, I could start in probably a week. 1 week after it's dry and sunny.
And how long before the permits could be pulled?
Oh, I just have to check and see, make sure we got everything in order.
I mean,
I-
we had
I
said they
think
could have
it
been
is.
pulled in November.
Yeah. I think it is. Waiting on the mover to come in and get them. Yeah, like you were saying, the mover's got jobs lined up. Now, he's probably backed up because of the weather, so I don't know how.
We're first on the list.
Okay.
Do the permits, could they pull the permits now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's preventing them from getting the permits like right away?
nothing.
Anything? Okay, what do the permits cost?
Oh, I think it's, I think it's 175
Okay, for each unit, for each house?
each move, yeah.
The state permit's $8. It's ridiculous.
You're not moving the burn house, are you?
No.
And you can't save the burn house?
The burn house on Anderson was torn down.
Okay. And there's none of these that are in a condition you can tear down now?
No.
None.
I don't know. I've walked through almost every one of them. My wife and I have, early in the morning.
All right, I'm gonna go around the table. I think everybody, Mayor Pro Tem, comment?
Well, I think last time you came up here, the reason we couldn't move the houses because you couldn't get a permit
Correct.
because of the way we needed the insurance that had to be on the protected property of which it was moving. And we changed that. Did we not change it?
No. That wasn't the issue.
That was the issue that I
No,
remember.
The issue was we have to have Clico, Cox,
That was the
No, but that,
AT&T.
originally, it was an issue that if he had
The
to have, to
mover had
insure
to
the
have
house
his
that he was
insurance.
moved.
But
And
then
then we
we-
said, he didn't
that's
have to
taken
have
care
that.
of, right.
He could not.
He
So
could-
that
he could
originally,
sign-
that
he
was
could
the
sign-
issue.
That was the
He
first
could
one.
sign off
Cargo
on it. No.
insurance.
Cargo insurance,
Cargo,
thank
that
you.
was
We've
it.
always,
That
we've
was the
always
first
had that the owner can sign off on it, and he could have signed off on it.
But that was not said to us at that last meeting we had when I was agreeing with Mr. Mixon at that
Okay.
time.
Correct.
About
But we got
why
that
should we be
straight.
responsible.
That's straight.
Correct.
That.
Okay.
So we changed that, and you said he can get a permit.
Yeah.
Now, he can get the permit, but the permit has not been issued yet, right?
No.
Right.
Now you're saying we have to get in touch with the utilities?
No, but that's all been taken care of.
All been done.
Except,
Just
Yeah.
I wasn't.
No, he said it wasn't.
I didn't know it was.
It's been done since November.
Yeah.
When
Since-
Liz called me,
oh,
he
no.
could get a permit,
In
it was
October.
November.
Well,
Yeah.
Liz told the trucking company, last I heard, Liz told the trucking company that she couldn't get them to call back and just come get the permit. They'd issue it.
In November.
That's what I was told.
In November.
So why the city has to get involved with the utilities being shut off at a
In
home
Years,
for this?
years ago, while I was here, they had a gentleman that moved a house on Julia Street from one section to another. He tore down all kind of lines because he moved the house because of the height restrictions. Cox had a lot of trouble putting those lines back up. It's always been an issue, and we've always had this in the ordinance. You have to have Clico, Cox, AT&T, and Public Works. because they're on the city streets. Sign off on the route. Once that's done, we can issue the permit, okay? If something's damaged, that's why before they move the house, we have them go check with them. So that way, nothing gets damaged. Clico, AT&T and Cox and Public Works all know the route and they all know they're passing. They can go check it before the house is moved, so if something needs to be moved or raised, they can do it.
But why is it the city's responsibility to call the utilities? If I want to cut the electricity off at my house, or gas, or if it's disconnected?
Because that house that he's moving is going on a city street, and it affects everybody that's along that route. If there's a line that's low and they tear it out, they've affected somebody else.
So you telling me anytime someone comes get a permit to move a house or a trailer?
It depends on the height loaded on the trailer.
But it's our responsibility to call the utilities?
No, it's the mover's responsibility to call. We were helping them out by us calling.
I understand that, but the process was, he said that they talked to Liz and Liz couldn't get in touch with utilities companies. But you telling me that's not our responsibility, but we're doing it as a favor?
Courtesy, correct.
That's what
We tried to help them.
National Electric Code, okay? I was in the trucking business for 25 years. I moved many of these oversized loads. National Electric Code says above a city street, any wire has to be at least 18 foot high. Okay? If I pull a wire down at 15 foot 6 inches, that's not my problem. That's the utility company's problem. And the city, not just New Iberia, but no city goes and enforces these wires. So when they stick that wire up there, they say, oh, well, you tore our property up. Well, I've had to present many utility companies with the regulation saying, your fault, it's not mine. And I've never had to pay for one wire because I was always right.
But I'm just trying to understand our process. The first process is that we changed about the cargo insurance.
Right.
So, but you saying if it wouldn't be Mr. Mixon and be somebody else with one house, they would call the utility companies to make sure. I'm trying to see our rule in it.
I got a sheet.
And there's a check sheet.
I got a
Tells you
moving
what
sheet.
But that's the
It
mover
had-
doing it, not us.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, so, because when you give them that permit, you're giving them authority to move that house. You don't say what route they go.
No, the mover
don't
does.
s-
The mover does.
But
That's,
that is
see, I have a
between
sheet in the office.
Right.
Okay? When they come in and they tell us it's over 14 feet, then we give them the sheet and they have to go get the signatures. If it's under 14 feet, I don't have an issue.
I just want to make sure it wasn't our responsibility
No.
to get in touch with utilities.
No.
You just happened to do it as a favor.
Yeah,
That's all.
as a
I wanted.
courtesy.
Because I didn't know
Because
the
they
involvement
were
we
having
had.
trouble getting it.
Right, I got you. Okay,
There should
thank
be a time limit as to what these utility companies should have to respond by. But we're stuck again.
you. Okay, thank you. That's what I need to know.
Okay. Yeah, okay. It looks like everybody's got something. Let's just keep going around the table. Yes.
Mr. Mixon, I really appreciate that you come and at least you're here to give us some response to the problems that you're having. But it's come to a point in time where it seems like if we don't push you to the point where you're either gonna demolish them or move them, like now, you're not gonna ever do it. You've been given the opportunity. Last time we gave you 3 months, 90 days.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was the weather back then, and all kinds of other things. It seems like it's always going to be something. So, as a council, we really need to decide tonight. Are we going to continue to give all of this time, or are we just going to say he's had 8, 9 months or years, as a matter of fact, before that time?
It's been 6 months.
To take care of this. And I know you want the houses. Just go on and move them and tear the rest down.
I would love to. I really would.
But like I said,
But what can I do? I can't.
Well,
the weather. What I'm
that's
supposed to
that's
do?
between you and the move and whatever. But that has nothing to do with us. So we're gonna have to make a decision tonight. The way it's gonna be, and that's my feeling about it.
Thank you.
Go on.
Councilwoman Guidry?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mixon, I just want to thank you for being here. I do respect your position on your frustration. I know that here and there was some balls dropped here and there, but we're constantly trying to work with you so we can move this forward. Just to clarify on what I've heard here tonight, I'm a little confused, but I'm gonna just see if I have that right. You were waiting on the city to change the agreement about the insurance cargo. We got that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
We, also too, we have all the permits, I think I heard Mr. Jimmy say. And you were waiting on something about Cox, you said?
Cox had a line they had to move along the route.
Is that moved,
was-
Mr. Jimmy?
I'd have to check with Cox.
Oh, you'd have to check with Cox?
Yeah.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
I'd have to go back and look in the orders, in
Okay.
the records.
Yes, sir. Okay, and then, the last thing is, Mr. Jimmy didn't have a recommendation. He's really good about giving us a recommendation about how long we can, we have for this. And again, I'm gonna ask again, that we get Mr. Jimmy's recommendation, because I do believe that this needs to be resolved, and I can understand his frustration, but I also want everyone to know that it wasn't anything on this council. I think we've been working with you, our mayor has been working with you, and I think you're doing your best as a citizen to do what you can. So I think we just need to work together to really just close this out for tonight and come up with a plan on what we need to do to move this forward, sir. But do you agree?
I totally agree. I would love to have this finished.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mixon, I thank you for being here tonight, and I'm sure you're all frustrated, but as a council member, I'm gonna, back Mr. Lewis up on this, with the tearing the houses down that need to be torn down, that they need to be torn down, and look into the ones that possibly can be moved as quick as possible. But I find it offensive that we're a new council here. This is not, this is new to us. So we've been going back and forth and giving you the opportunity to do that, and hopefully it can be done. But at the same time, like Mr. Dahl was saying, was it anything on the council part for this being delayed? And no, it wasn't. So I don't know if Mr. Landry does have a recommendation. It seems to me like he wants, or now it's time for the council to decide what we're gonna do. This going forward. I appreciate you putting your time and effort into it, and I understand it is frustrating. Hopefully we can solve it and get it done. But I just wanted to let you know I respect your opinion at the same time, but I do find it offensive on behalf of the city council and the mayor that this was not our doing, and we're continuing to work hard and try and get things done and solved in New Iberia.
I understand and totally agree with you, okay? Now, let's look on my side. I'm a new owner, okay? My father passed away a year ago. We totally haven't settled his estate. This is part of his estate. I'm having to get into this. And the city council is looking at me as a Mixon, okay, to go clean up this act. And I'm saying, that's fine. Y'all are a new council, I'm a new owner. And the same should be granted to me.
All right, we've all heard some discussion. I think we should go back to Councilman. Oh, Mr. Broussard? And then we're going back to Councilman.
Frank, now you understand, tonight, that you have to go ahead to get it done.
Yep.
Mr. Landry told us all that yourself tonight, to get it done. Let's have a good, beginning of getting it done. If you don't mind, Mr. Frank, all my life, you've been here, fixers have been here. So when it's all gonna be done, it's gonna be like you said, the bricks, the cement, it's all gonna be gone.
Yeah.
We have the empty lots.
Yeah.
So let's have a whole new beginning now, if you give us a commitment that you work tomorrow on, and remove these things.
I would.
That's all we ask, just treat me as
I would love for this to be over.
Yes.
I really would.
I hope you make the right calls tomorrow and start the ball rolling. Whether or not, see what can be done to move some of these and resolve the issue. That's all we ask, Mr. Frank.
Okay.
And the mixers have been in this town for many years. Ups and downs and some good days and some bad days. And you just lost your dad a year ago. You understand that you're trying to do family things. takes a long time, sometimes to handle family things. If you can, start tomorrow.
Well, I started months ago, you know?
Now that he said you have all the permits ready to go, let's get it going.
Do I have to buy,
Thank you, Mr. Broussard.
can I buy the permits, or does he have to buy the permits?
You can buy.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
Now we'll go back to Councilman Lewis.
Well, I think I heard the I'm a numbers guy. I heard Mr. Simon say, would 30 days be enough? Natalie's been saying 90 days. I'm gonna compromise. If I make a motion for 60 days for you to come back to the council and have something done, because then I'm gonna make a motion to demolish them that night. I think 60 days is definitely more than 30. But 60 with the weather, 60 days gonna put us in the springtime. It should be real pretty.
We'll be in March.
You know, 60 days should put us in the springtime. I mean, I want to work with you. I think you've been. I'm a good judge of character. I'm a barber. I deal with a lot of men, and I think you've been honest up here tonight. I'm a barber.
Barber, okay.
Yeah, I deal with a lot. I get a chance to look a lot of men in the eyes to see where they're coming from, and I think you've been upright tonight and upstanding on honesty and saying that you really want this done. You know. And I'm thinking 60 days, a motion recommendation for 60 days, since I really couldn't get one, and let you get to work within the 60 days. And in 60 days, if we don't see nothing,
I'll tear them all down.
You know what I mean? If we don't see nothing in 60 days, I'm gonna make a motion to demolish them, and I'm sure this council is gonna follow suit with you.
I totally agree with you, unless we have constant rain, okay? That's the only thing that I can tell you. That's the only thing I can tell you. I would love to have this done, except I can't do it in the rain.
Understand that, but
And like I told you, last year we had 75 inches of rain. Normal rainfall is 60 inches. That's 20% more.
well, based on two sort of recommendations that I heard, I'm gonna try to meet you in the middle and make a motion for 60 days.
That's great.
Okay, so you made a motion?
Make a motion for 60 days, revisit. If nothing has been done, if not one house has been moved, we're gonna make a motion to demolish it.
Can I make a
Okay,
addition?
I have a motion on the floor, and then I have a council person who wants to speak.
I'll let it get on the floor. I make a second.
Okay.
To get it on the floor?
All right,
Second
so
to get on the floor, okay.
Right, we
Yeah.
have a motion and a second. Now it's on the floor, no discussion.
Can
We didn't do it.
Can I piggyback on that and add,
They're all
would you be
disconnected.
open to me piggybacking on your motion and adding that Mr. Mixon come back in 30 days in 2 meetings and let us know where he's at? Because when we were talking back here 90 days, I was thinking 90 days and have him come every month and say, this is where I am, so we can see the progress. Because I understand the frustration of the people in your district. I understand we don't want people loitering in these houses. We don't want criminal activity. But I also understand that to pull a permit on every one of these houses, you know, the city's gonna make from $2,000 to $3,000 on the permits. And Mr. Mixon's gonna handle the business. And I know Mr. Mixon is gonna do it right, and it is going to be clean. So I think, you know, I'm with you. We need to get moving. We do need to get moving. I'm cool with 60 days, but I'd like to have him come back in 30 and tell us exactly where he is.
I'll do that.
Okay, let me tell
Hold
you,
on.
I just want you to know, there might be a hiccup,
Okay.
because when I was out there last, on the 10th, taking my pictures, the gas lines are still on the side of the house.
Okay.
If they haven't been cut, okay, the meters are gone,
Ding, ding, ding.
but I cannot call Centerpoint and tell them, because I'm not demoing them. I'm not moving them, okay? That's not my responsibility.
You could send a letter.
So
to him.
Mr. Frank
I
needs to
could-
call Centerpoint. Is that what we just established?
But the house on, I'm gonna give you an example, the house at 514 East Persian had a gas line. That's why the lady wasn't able to tear it down yet. Now, that's been rectified, the gas line is gone. So hopefully I'll see her doing something shortly. But Centerpoint takes a long time. I can call them, but there's no guarantee.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would like you to write a letter or send an email.
do that in the morning.
And you make the call.
I can do that in the morning, and I will be
Because
more than glad to speed
if the
this
gas
up.
company is gonna hold up this situation, we got a problem, you know?
They don't want houses
Yeah, if you
demoed.
call Centerpoint
with-
and tell them I'm moving them, because I've done it, and I'm ripping it, you better
Yeah.
come, they gonna come.
Okay, all right.
I would appreciate you
Yeah.
getting it involved there.
We can do that.
What a
That's my substitute motion.
I know.
Well,
The
I like the
utility.
idea of
Mr.
bringing
Frank
it, I like the idea of bringing it back in 30 days to give us an update.
Hey, I don't have a problem with that.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second, and the motion is
I'm
for
gonna keep
60
record of
days,
the
revisit in 30, he'll return in
30
30.
every day, return 30.
Any further discussion on that motion? All right, please vote your machines. Thank you all very much.
Thanks again, Mr. Mason.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all time. And I truly believe that this council is much better than the previous councils.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Frank.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I've dealt with previous
You're
councils.
previous council?
I know what he's talking about.
All right, let's keep moving.
I know exactly
minute.
what Mr. Frank is talking about.
You were.
I am too, and I'm proud of it.
You're on the previous, so
Frank,
stop.
take it-
All right.
Take it and run, Frank.
Yeah, yeah,
Take it and run, Frank.
yeah, let's keep moving. All right, now we have items for discussion. Wait, yeah, items for discussion, since we've had not much discussion tonight. Madam Clerk, item 8.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry, in reference to the nuisance ordinance committee meetings, the Tight and Right cleanup initiative, and the Read Out Loud youth initiative.
Councilwoman Gibbs.
Thank you, sir. The nuisance ordinance, originally, thank- the nuisance ordinance, originally been on the books for quite some time now, and if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Jeff, around 1972,
Well, parts of it,
parts of it.
have been tacked on
Have been
since
tacked
then,
on,
yeah.
right. And the purpose of the committee was that it was formed to make some of these ordinances more user-friendly and, but at the same time holding citizens responsible and accountable to help us clean up our city and continue to make New Iberia a great place and beautify our town. So I want to thank the mayor for this opportunity, along with the shared thinking committee that was formed to facilitate and revise these ordinances. Real quick, the first meeting we had, and I'm just here to give you guys an update on what we've been doing. The first meeting was really a goal-oriented type meeting, and we just kind of came up with some ideas on what we thought needs to be worked on within the ordinances, and the discussion basically varied from the current ordinance and revisions, the notification process to the citizens, tagging of the vehicles, will it be the police to do so, legal issues that we may face, and also the enforcement of the actual process, and penalties and liabilities. I need to stop, Miss Natalie?
No,
You okay?
I'm fine.
All right. Thank you. Okay, and so we came up with some ideas. This was held on December the 6th at 10 a.m. In the City Hall conference room. The people that were present was Mayor Freddie DeCourt, Mr. David Broussard, Jerry Guidry, Jeff Simon, Jimmy Landry, Miss Marva Spencer, Jane Broad, and Maxine Gosselin. The second meeting was held on January the 5th, 2018, and this meeting was approved, the agenda was approved by Mayor Freddie DeCourt. I chaired this meeting, and we came up with the ideas that we came up with the first meeting on December the 6th. We actually came back with some more, worked on them, and some more concrete ideas to put that in motion. So we talked about at the second meeting the actual door hanger sample that was created by myself, but the wordings can be changed. I'm sure that we could always agree on the wording later, but I think in the first meeting we said that we were happy about the idea that we can put something as warning, you can lose your car, or, warning, do not ignore, or something to that nature. Personally, I would like to have something in my hand. If a car get tagged, I probably have to keep going outside to look on the windshield to get the number. If there's some weather elements that's taking place, I'd have to keep referring back to the sticker on the car. So to have a door hanger or something personal or tangible in my hand, to bring inside to deal with, I think the door hangers are a good idea. And again, there has not been a final vote on any of this stuff. This is just something that we're discussing now in the committee. The next thing we discussed also was the due process. The committee agreed that the due process is necessary, and it must be in place in order for the residents to receive fair treatment and from the nuisance law and things like that. So the due process, we're considering something concerning a nuisance law committee. That way it's not us that's dealing directly with these particular issues. Also, the next thing was enforcement of the violation. Mr. Jimmy has a lot to do, I believe, and consult, and so we continue to consult with our city attorney, Mr. Jeff Simon, and Ms. Ann Stevens concerning this particular issue. We have not come to anything concrete at this point, but we are entertaining some ideas. There was a recommendation to the amendment to Article 35531, I think that's written correctly, C5, concerning the storage of the vehicle. And the way it is written now, I believe that it can probably come into some legality issues. Is that correct, Mr. Jeff? So I forget what we proposed on that particular part.
Well, we didn't really answer that question.
Right.
There was some litigation in Lafayette having to do with their ordinance that allowed certain vehicles undercover that wouldn't be allowed not undercover.
Right.
And the issue was whether or not that was unfair to people who couldn't afford covers for vehicles. So we talked about, at that meeting that you chaired, we talked about whether or not a vehicle under a carport would be allowed, as it is now.
Yes, sir.
When the same vehicle not under a carport wouldn't be. Right. And that's really gonna be, we can deal with it to some extent, but the council's gonna have to think about, are we dealing with vehicles in front yards? Are we gonna include vehicles in backyards? Are we worried about kids being able to get to vehicles? So, that's gonna be a difficulty. We talked about the antique car exception. And pretty much everybody said we probably need to get rid of that.
Right.
And,
Okay.
so we talked about simplifying that section of the code, and that was one of the issues.
Yes, so the bottom line is, I think those two items, if you would agree, and the mayor, those are the two things I think we're kind of still stuck on. And also the actual process of the due process, how that's going to be ran, and also what happens when they go over the recommended days, whether it be 30 days or whatever, then what takes place concerning law enforcement and the actual enforcement of that violation. Right. So the next meeting, I think, hopefully, we can take a final vote on these items concerning the committee, so we'll have something to bring to the council on those particular issues, and how enforcement of the violation can be handled. But again, we have to really consult with Mr. Jeff, whom we think a lot, to get this kind of up and running for us in those particular legal issues.
And I promised to talk to Ann Stevens.
Yes, sir.
About cleaning it up to make it easier for them to enforce on the misdemeanor side.
Okay, and Mayor, I would like to submit both of these agenda items as like the minutes of the meetings, and I was thanking God for Miss Maxine because my computer stopped working, so she had to email me back and forth. And an exact date has not been issued on the next meeting, but will be submitted shortly. And that's what I have on the nuisance law committee.
Now you have two more items?
Yes, sir. Real short and simple. It's just a re-announcement of the Titan Right Neighborhood Cleanup Initiative that I came up with, and provided that the weather hold up, March the 17th, from 10:30 to 12:30, and hopefully we can get the same support that we had on first. And I want to thank Mr. Leroy in advance. Hopefully that he's going to come up on board and help us with that. It's really needed in those particular areas that we're picking. Next on the agenda, I have a Read Out Loud initiative that I came up with, and I've partnered with a lot of the principals around Iberia Parish to encourage the students to read more books. And I want to invite this distinguished council to come along, if you would like, on January the 25th, to come and read. I'm reading to the pre-K and the kindergartners, and we just want to encourage them to read some books, and the books that I'm going to actually be reading is going to be selected from the principals. So, getting recommendations on that.
Cool.
And the youth, it's very important that the youth be read to. A lot of them at that particular age, the parents are a little bit busy and they don't get to really read, so this gives them, helps them with their vocabulary and also increase their knowledge and want to desire to read more books. And what else we have on the agenda? Me
That's it.
too?
Thank you.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. And as you know, we're continuing to form committees. If anybody wants to chair another committee, we have 3 committees right now. I think we should kind of proceed with these and get these moving, and then we'll have opportunities to do more committees if, other people want to either chair another one or some new council member wants to get involved and start a committee. But I think this is a way we're going to get a lot of things done, away from council chambers. Now we'll go to item 9. Oh, yes, sir.
Just for the public to know, these meetings, the reason some council members can't go on, because you can't have 4
Right,
council members
right.
have
These
a
are
quorum.
working
So these
meetings.
committee meetings are done with less council members, and they come back and bring the information to the council.
Correct.
It's not because the other council members didn't want to go, maybe.
No, of course.
It's just
of
the way the
course.
law
We're
is.
just breaking into small groups.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And,
Yeah, these are not official appointed committees.
Right,
These are
right.
voluntary things.
Yes.
So they're not,
And
they're not
everything comes
public
back here.
meetings.
Everything
Right.
comes back for the council to take action
Which
with a
is one of the
recommendation
things
from a
that-
committee.
clear.
No, I'm glad you did.
And I want to, the idea, and talk to the mayor right when he got in office about these door hangers. He did that about when people go do work at your house with the city. They
Right.
write what they do, they put it on a door hanger.
Yep.
And it's, communication is the key.
That's right. And I
And-
thought that can be used again
Versus
for this too.
just tagging a car,
Yeah.
you putting it on a door, it's a communication that will get better
Yeah.
to solve some of these problems.
Yes,
So
sir.
thank you for your work.
Definitely. Mr. Broussard.
All this council should be getting together on this very, very important ordinance. We can change it one time. Just follow what other parishes have done and got them in trouble. Just keep out of trouble. But there's daily trouble. We have calls of people griping about the ordinances of what we're doing here. So let's make a good working ordinance one time. So each and every one of us better come up with ideas of what they want to see changed.
Yes, sir.
And we have a new police department coming up to enforce these ordinances. Let's follow up on it. Because that's the main gripes I have called his ideas with his nuisance ordinance.
Yes. Any more remarks on item 8? Hearing none, we'll move on to 9, councilman remarks, and I'll start on Dustin's end.
Thank you. Keeping it simple tonight. The weather is getting bad again for the next 2 nights, so people be patient and we'll get through it, just like we did the last week and the last week before that. Kind of odd for Louisiana, but
Yep.
we'll take it. Another thing I like to reflect on earlier and just say that we are a great council, we're working great together. And the mayor, you're doing an awesome job, Pro Tem. We're all working well together. And so I just want to make that statement known to the public that I think we're doing a great job, and let's just keep it up. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gill? Okay. Councilwoman Ledbetter?
I just want to thank everybody in the community that attended our Martin Luther King Day celebration on yesterday. Hopefully, if you received the Daily Iberian, you did see some pictures from it. There were a number of choirs and praise dancers from different churches, and those kids were really, really awesome. If you were not there, you missed something. It was very, very inspiring in order to celebrate this 50th anniversary of the passing of Dr. King. So maybe next year, you know, those who weren't able to make it, it's gonna be the Monday, the holiday Monday, which is the third Monday of January.
My birthday.
1:00 p.m. at the West End Park at the Martin Luther King Community Center. So thanks for all of those who attended. It was really, really nice.
Thank you.
Our mayor did an awesome job bringing greetings too.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, I would like to thank the organization that put on that Mardi Gras parade.
Yeah.
And I know it was cool. I want to thank the citizens that came out for it. I was out of town, I couldn't go, but it really brings New Iberia together. It helps the restaurants. It does a lot of good things. And you know, I think one day we need to get these volunteers and show some appreciation, because it takes a lot of time and effort for them to do this. And I want to thank them publicly, because, you know, it does bring something to New Iberia that we didn't have for a couple of years, and we felt it.
I agree.
And I want to just comment on something that was said earlier. I was part of the prior council, and Ms. Robat was, and I think we did some good things. You can't blame all your personal problems on the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Broussard.
We have our neighborhood watch meeting November 17th, Thursday, at 7:30, and our main speaker with Mr. Dalbo come introduce himself to our neighborhood. And everybody watch their neighborhoods. The only way you're gonna create, you'll help the police watch what's going on. And I hope you bring some good ammunition when you come on Thursday night at 7:30. So bring your guns loaded. Let's talk about it.
Community policing. Councilman Lewis.
Yeah, I'm probably in the planning stages of a town hall meeting for the Western community. We're definitely gonna be calling on the mayor and the
Good.
chief, kind of to introduce the chief to the community. Haven't started working on it yet, but it's definitely something that we want to do. And for all my people who aren't on Facebook, who don't have my number or anything like that, if you have any ideas to help make our community better, my phone number is 337-577-3448.
Thank you.
My turn?
Yes, Councilwoman Lopez.
No, I want to go off of what Mr. Dahl said. I want to thank the Bayou Mardi Gras Association for the parade. I went and it was great. The crowd was light due to the coldness, but it was great. And I stayed downtown for a while Saturday night, and it was just real nice to see the businesses thriving with people and them, good people, fun people that love their city. Also to do with that, I want to congratulate again Pat and Lisa Norris. And Mr. Pat Norris is one of the main organizers, I couldn't get my word out, of the Bayou Mardi Gras Association. Him and his wife just won the Philanthropy Award. And I want to congratulate them again. There's a story about them in the Lifestyle this month, and it's a really good read. They have a very flourishing company now, but it wasn't always that way. And for them to have developed the financial status that they have and to give back the way they do so selflessly is something to be enjoyed. Second or third, I want to thank our new police chief, Mr. Dalbar, for coming to speak at the Acadian Acres Neighborhood Watch Association meeting. We appreciate his time and efforts and knowledge. So I want to thank him for that. And then also, District 1 is going to have a prayer walk on January the 27th at 10:30 a.m. It's going to start at Daspit Elementary, stop midway at the Iberia Parish School Board, and then end at Acadian Ballpark. And if you have any questions, you can contact Pastor Zach Mitchell. And that is it for me.
Okay, I've got some announcements tonight. The first one, some good news. We've got over $1 million, as you can see, of grant money coming in for our sewer system. That's awesome, thanks to the hard work of our sewer director, Vince Palumbo, And one is for 526,000, the other was for 691. So this is a lot of money. It's definitely needed. It's going to make some needed repairs. But thought that was some real good news, especially in this economy. So our next one is not quite good news. Because our taxes have declined for 2 months in a row when you compare them to last year's by 5% and another one by 6%, I'm implementing a hiring freeze. Of course, that's not for the police department, but for the next 3 months, we're going to do a hiring freeze. Now, if there's a vital service that is needed, if you've got someone who has to operate that sewer plant, it has to be open 24/7, we will make the call and fill those positions. But we are trying to cut back where we can. We're going to monitor this for the next 3 months. I want to see where it's at in 3 months. Maybe it's just a blip. I was a little alarmed that November, December, when it's the holiday season, we normally see a bump. Well, there was no bump. It was a slide. So it's something we need to watch. If we have to take further action, we will. But I want to be proactive on this and not sit back and wait and then hit the panic button because we did nothing. So we'll implement a hiring freeze, again, not for the police department. You'll see that we have an ad coming out in the Daily Iberian on Sunday. You'll see one on Facebook that we are definitely hiring. So those things are happening. Let's see what else I have. The next city council meeting is February the 6th. We still have property available on the website for sale. And the chamber banquet is this Thursday night at the Cade Community Center, and I think they still have tickets available. And I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion. Second. Great. Thank y'all.